Activation code required. Access granted. Warning. Evacuation sequence activated.
We're back. Welcome to the bunker.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another amazingly awesome episode of the S-4 Paranormal Bunker. So, tonight, the only one we have with us is Nikki.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Nikki.
Nikki's lonely on Skype.
Hello.
It didn't
I sent
even,
a message.
Well, it didn't even try and call any of them in. It killed everyone's and just dialed you. Which means their computers aren't even on.
That's interesting. And I got told to put on certain gemstones just before we went live, like seconds before. I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's scary. I'm just done with the scary.
She's kind of had her fill for the day.
So tonight, I sat here all week and tried to come up with something new we haven't done before. And about 4.5 hours ago, I said, fuck it.
Roblox horror.
Roblox in the paranormal. Did you just say that?
No.
Zombies.
And so we're going to go back to quite an easy and but fun topic that always brings out new things and new pieces of it.
Yeah.
So we're doing music in the paranormal. Now, music has always been a huge part of everyday life for almost all of humanity. From just the inspiration of it to what it inspires. A lot of people say, as the title of the show is, that music is the blood of all lives. Because that blood not only gives meaning to your own life, but gives meaning to the lives of the people around you and who listen to it as well. So,
and I mean, like, songs, like, particular songs. You can be having a terrible day and a song comes on and it makes your life 100 times better.
Yep.
Or you can be having a good day and a song comes on and it just makes you cry for no reason. Like, stuff like that. Like, songs have emotional impact behind them.
Well, and that's the thing. They mean something different to everyone most of the time. Actually, me and Kayla were talking about this on the way home. The song...
oh, God. Okay.
From a Line Down Under.
I was actually hoping that Robert would be on here for this because when I was...
I just got a message from him. He doesn't think he's going to be able to be on tonight. He's with the boys, and they're in a session right now, so...
Okay. So, when I was in high school, you know the song Land Down Under?
Yes.
Okay. So, this girl that I went to high school with wasn't aware that that was talking about Australia.
Oh, no.
She thought that it was talking about hell the entire time. And I was like, I don't know how she could mix those up. And then I looked up the lyrics and I'm like, well, if you didn't know these things about Australia or had never heard about this, it really, really actually does sound like they're talking about hell. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. It's one of those ones where you can take something and you can use it as its meaning. Because it is so... It follows trials and tribulations.
Well,
Anything that follows trials and tribulations in its own song, or even is a song that has a plot, beginning, a middle, and an end.
yeah.
You can take any meaning out of it that you want.
Pretty much.
And you can make it fit any storyline. That song itself, you can attest to sickness, the devil, death itself.
Megamind?
What?
Megamind?
Megamind?
Yeah, you can connect the song.
I thought that's what you said.
I don't know what Will Ferrell has to do with this, but...
I'm just saying.
Okay, so I was like, there's no way. Because I've never, like, really thought about that as being hell instead of Australia. Which, I mean, some people would think of Australia as hell. But... so I was, like, looking up the words when me and Cole were talking about this. And he's like, what? And... then I read, like, the first stanza, and I'm like, yeah, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. Because the very first stanza is that is, traveling in a fried-out combi on a hippie trailhead full of zombie. Right? And I'm like, okay. And then it's, I met a strange lady. She made me nervous. She took me in and she gave me breakfast. And then I was like, oh, okay, I guess so. I mean, really, if you think about it, if you don't know anything, then you're thinking about zombies, you're thinking about a crazy trailhead, you're thinking about a strange lady that came out of nowhere and decided to give you some crazy breakfast. Like, okay, I guess this is like catering in hell.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Not how I thought of it when I heard it in the 80s, but yeah, okay.
Right?
Well, okay. The term devil music is so
Oh.
often thrown around.
Mainly in rock
Yeah,
and roll.
that's
No, actually,
coined
they-
in the 50s.
So hold on.
Wasn't that coined in the 50s?
Absolutely not. The term devil music was actually first used in suggestion with Mozart.
yes, that his music
Really?
made you feel things
Yes.
so much that it must be from the devil himself.
No one should in their right in that isn't in league with the devil should be able to play like that. There's
Yes.
there's a term called a tritone, an interval of 6 semitones.
Yeah.
It's called the devil's interval.
A long time since I've heard that term.
Right?
Well, Mozart uses it a lot. Apparently, someone figured it out.
But that's what I said. It's like through the generations, what people consider devil music changes as well.
Yeah.
Because,
Yes.
I mean, like, just from what I know, it started out with, like, the beginnings of rock and roll
And
Yep.
now
being devil
Well,
music.
The first time it was used in the terms of Americana was Robert Johnson.
yeah, nowadays it's Taylor Swift. Anytime you want to hear it, you just your ears bleed.
Oh God, I can't think of the guy's name. He did sorry, can't think of the guy's name. But there's a different guy that is typically thought of for that, and it mostly has to do with because of a show that he did. He performed in bright red costume and all sorts of stuff on stage, and it sent the religious factors of this planet on its ear.
In what era?
A couple years ago.
Oh,
Nos?
I can't.
Little Nas X?
No.
Okay.
I'd have to go look him up. I can't think of his name. I mean, you never would have known it from when he first came out, and then he ended up doing a James Bond song.
That's Lil Nas X.
Yeah, Little Nas X.
That's not what I know him as.
He's a black rap artist who's actually gay.
That's not who I'm thinking of.
No, because he's the one who did he did the last James Bond movie's title song, and he created Satan's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So he took a pair of Nike Air Force and turned them satanic.
Well, he also made Santa Claus super creepy.
Yes. Well, he kind of is creepy, but the guy breaks into your home, gives presents to little children. A little creepy. But he's okay.
Always
He's
watching
good.
you to sleep.
Huh?
He's always watching to sleep.
He doesn't watch me sleep because I don't sleep. Screw that guy. I ain't giving him the pleasure. But,
Sam Smith. Sam Smith.
Okay. Friend.
Sam Smith?
Yeah.
I don't know that I know that one.
Yeah, you do.
I probably do. I'm just really bad with...
I had to go look it up.
But Robert Johnson was one of the first in America that was considered... He created the devil's music. He was the one who sold the soul at the crossroads, according to legend. For the right to play for 10 years. He got the ability to play better than anyone else in the world for 10 years.
Yep.
And then he owed his soul to the devil. But the term devil music has been used to describe all kinds of music. Jazz.
Even Elvis Presley was considered that, and part of that was because of how he gyrated his hips.
Yeah, 90% of it was his hips.
Well, I mean, and the most...
It was considered lewd.
Mm-hmm. And
Sorry.
rap got a really bad name as far as devil's music.
Yes.
Yeah. Friend. Now the thing is...
Twisted Sister, there's all sorts of bands that have been labeled that, and
in one point, Simon and Garfunkel were labeled as devil's music.
In certain certain circles, I should say, genre circles, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, people just, they get a bug up their butt, and anything can be considered that way. It's really rather atrocious when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Hold on.
Especially when
Simon
it's
and
not
Garfunkel.
meant that way.
Yeah.
I don't believe their music was the devil. I think their producer was. Because anyone who believes an 8-minute ballad about nothing is a good fucking idea, he made hell.
I don't know. I like almost all kinds of music, so I tend to disagree with that statement. But that's okay. We all have our own opinion on it.
But some of Simon and Garfunkel's older stuff, before they started fighting, because you can tell when the fighting started with that.
Yeah, you can. You can see it. You can hear it in their music.
Well, if you want to talk about an 8-minute ballad that says nothing, have you ever heard the song American Pie?
Heard that in years.
Bye, Miss. That is an 8-minute ballad.
That says a lot.
Just insane.
Why?
I hate that song.
That entire song is
I hate that song.
That entire song is about the fall of our nation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's good. Kind of. But
see, I grew up listening. I had family where I was listening from everything from Bach and Mozart all the way to rap music. So I was raised with listening to all kinds of genre, however you pronounce that word, of music. Everything under the sun. So, including very cultural music. And you get into Tonga, and you're listening to folks vocalizing with instruments, and it's beautiful, truly, truly beautiful. And it's the same way with different cultures. I mean, indigenous of every country, you've got that. There's, oh gosh, there's so many running through my head right now. I can't even pull even one of them out. Japanese music is just phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own take on different forms of music, and then how it comes into play with the paranormal. Look at the Sasquatch. The Sasquatch, Bigfoot, respawned when you're out in the forest and you choose to bring a guitar, or you choose to bring, say, like a set of drums, or even like small bongo drums, and you've got a guitar going at the same time. You're going to get a response. You draw them in. Because it attracts music in a positive way, attracts paranormal in a big way, especially for some of them.
The other way, I think of music in the same way that I think of math. Like, it is a common denominator for everybody. Like,
yeah, it really is.
It is something that speaks to everybody.
No.
Every level.
You don't think so?
No, there's an extreme few that absolutely have no interest in music whatsoever, in sound whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh, there's an extreme few that don't have any interest in math whatsoever.
And I don't mean like most people are going to take that and they're going to think I mean deaf people, and that's not it, because
No, I know.
I've been to deaf dances.
Yeah.
And they're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's all it's bass. They can.
It's
feel
all vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are a select few that have no inclination towards any type of music whatsoever because they don't like sound in itself.
Okay. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
That goes into different functions of how the brain is, too. It's not just cultural. That also goes into how sound affects the brain and sensitivities to it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, if you watch a movie, okay, and you watch a movie, Jurassic Park, let's go with Jurassic Park, okay, and you watch it without the soundtrack backing, just the acting, like just the, oh hey, oh, there's a dinosaur, there's, right, like everything, it does not have anywhere near the same impact as it has
Correct.
with the soundtrack.
Oh, there's a better
Correct.
one than that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, I was going to say Fantasia.
You take Close Encounters of the Third Kind
Jaws.
and kill the score.
Yeah.
Jaws
and all
is
of the yeah. Like, it brings a whole new level to entertainment, even.
Yes.
Yeah, very much so. You look back at even the black and white movies where there was no sound. I mean, you got the gist of things, but it completely, once they started adding even a small amount
even
of
the
sound.
piano in the background made it a totally separate
even
experience.
with some of the movies, that's why they did that. That's why they had a guy on the side stage playing a piano, just playing music.
Mm-hmm. Because it does add, like, anytime you're using more than one sense to...
Yep.
It adds a whole new fucking level to it that just wasn't there before.
It adds a complete new setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because if you are, let's say you're watching a silent film, and it's a do-do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, everything's good.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you get those two high notes that keep going back and forth, the
or you get the low note, boom, boom,
Yep.
boom, and you're like, oh no, something crazy is going to happen. Yeah.
And they still do that to this day. Like you said, Jaws.
Bernard.
And you want to know the crazy part about that one? When Steven Spielberg heard that, he thought the composer was insane. John Williams, it's the same guy who does Star Wars. He thought John Williams was absolutely insane and told him so. He said there's no way that's going to work.
And look at it now; it's become iconic.
Yeah,
Right.
You do the da da. Everybody on this planet, if they've ever seen any movie whatsoever, they know exactly what movie that goes to.
Do you know?
I mean, it is that iconic.
I don't know that I've ever walked down like a crowded beach or been in a water park or anything where I haven't heard somebody do that.
Comment. Yeah. It's a really big deal. I mean, and now movies now in 2024, it's all sensory overload. You've got the sound, the visual, the light spectrums, every aspect of the senses are being affected. And it's in some ways almost too much. But it's done a specific, I mean, hello, that's mass media for you. That's exactly what they're going for. That's what they want.
Super happy they haven't created smell-o-vision yet.
Oh, dear God.
Because I tell you what, like some of the shows I watch, I would not want to smell some of the
I
things
so
that
want
they are
that,
looking
and the
at.
first movie I'm watching is Night of the Living Dead.
Ugh.
Because I want to see them recreate that smell. Come on.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, can you even imagine watching, like, Harry Potter with smell-o-vision? Like, all of a sudden there's troll boogies and you're like, oh, God. I couldn't, no.
Imagine watching any medieval movie.
Oh, God, yeah. It would just smell like a
especially
damp castle the whole time. Ooh.
When it's in, like, one of the royal castles.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I would definitely not choose to watch, like, Game of Thrones.
Oh, I would.
Okay.
All of it except for the scene where he shoots his dad on the toilet.
Oh, I thought you were going to say where the dude was having sex with his aunt. Or sister.
Game of Thrones.
There's a lot of incest in that show. Okay.
Romancing the Stone and something of the Nile, the camels. Those are the kind of movies I think of, or them going, Kathleen Turner and I can't think of the gentleman's name, the other actor's name, but going down the mudslide in the first movie, Romancing the Stone. You don't want to, or the pot smell in the scene inside the airplane. Or the camels in the second movie? Are you kidding? Oh, no, thank you.
Can you imagine watching anything with Seth Rogen? You'd get like a secondhand high just from watching the movie. You're like, Pineapple Express?
Guys,
Billy
just
Nelson
because they
watching
create the smell doesn't mean you're actually getting high. Jesus.
Yeah.
Watching anything with
so
Willie
much
Nelson
money.
in it.
Right?
But you guys,
I love the
this all
guy. I
wrong.
mean, he's...
The one movie you do not want to watch is Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, God. Oh,
pipe.
God. I didn't even think about that. That's horrible.
Some of the movies that deal with necromancy or I mean, dealing with the dead. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Right.
No, thank you.
And that would
Rotting
bring a
flesh
whole
or
new
the murder
spin
movies?
to like any murder mystery, like, oh God, or like any
Yes.
documentary. Ew.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Ugh.
Guys,
I don't think I'd ever be able to watch anything on Ed Gein again.
Hannibal Lecter.
Oh yeah, like the smell of
The
people
movie.
cooking. Ugh.
Oh, imagine watching Pelts.
Okay.
You
No,
are looking
know
up
what?
movies. You've
Wait.
never even seen that movie.
No, I have. It's about a guy slowly turning into a walrus. Well, getting turned into a walrus.
That's Tusks.
That's
Tusk.
Tusk. Oh, I'm thinking
Yeah.
of the wrong movie.
Yes.
Oh, but yeah, no, there's a lot. That's one sense that I do not want coming out of my TV. Okay.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Ew.
So you'd be okay with taste?
Oh, I don't know that I'd want to taste a movie either.
Imagine watching
Some of
Whale.
them would be great, though, guys. Willy Wonka.
Yeah, but some
Oh,
Like, come on.
I would totally watch way more of those baking shows.
Oh,
That's for sure.
I would have 10 minutes of Willy Wonka running in my on my TV on repeat.
imagine watching The Whale.
Which one?
The Whale.
Ugh. Ugh.
Or 600 Pound Life. No one would watch anymore.
No one would watch sports movies.
Or The Four Horrors.
Right, yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, no. You know what? No taste of vision, no smell of vision.
Like, Taste of Vision, I admit, there's a mild curiosity about, like, the Hannibal Lecter movies.
no.
What, you've
Wait.
never had long pig? But you're Canadian. Oh.
It probably tastes
Any
different straight from the source.
All horror movies would just die out.
Any police officer, any police detective, FBI, I mean, with the stuff they've seen, I can't even imagine the smell of vision on
Imagine.
TV.
I gotta be honest, I don't
That's
think I'd ever
no
watch
way.
Criminal Minds again.
Terminator would be annoying. You just taste metal.
Imagine watching Jigsaw.
Oh, that'd be bad.
Are you watching Terminator or am I having a stroke?
Right. And then if you're watching Terminator 2, it'd be like you taste the metal, but it's your fillings. Like it's like that when you aluminum foil on
Okay.
your fillings.
No,
Imagine,
no, 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 no.
imagine
Thank
watching
you, no.
Alien and tasting the weird, like, crawling things.
Oh,
The
God.
thing
face
that
suckers?
attaches, the face
Yeah.
sucker.
Ugh.
Man,
I don't even think they could come up with half of these tastes. Like, it would be...
there's even innocent ones. Kind of innocent. Innocent for our age. Man, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The cheese.
The cheese Dutch.
Oh, God. Or, like, Look Who's Talking Now, that whole diaper scene.
Matilda,
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Oh, gross.
the chokey versus the chocolate cake scene.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you know which one I wouldn't mind? This is going to sound stupid. But, not Pan. What's the Robin Williams version?
Oh, oh, God. Yeah, when
Yeah,
he plays Peter
did it too,
Pan.
no.
Uh-oh. I gotta look that up now.
Yeah, somebody look it up because I'm not thinking of the name
Hook.
of it either.
Hook!
Hook.
Yeah.
I got, like,
Remember the
partway
meal?
through typing Robin. Oh, yeah. Where the
meal.
Lost Boys made the meal, the fake meal.
Yes. Oh God, that was fun.
I would want that on Taste Division because I would like to know what some of that stuff tasted like.
Oh, imagine watching The Goonies.
A lot of multicolored mashed potatoes.
Ugh. Hey, you guys.
Friend.
You know what that thing would smell. Ooh, imagine watching The Labyrinth.
The Labyrinth? Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So, but that's the thing. That's what I mean by it not only music inspires, because I mean it just inspired a 10-minute conversation,
Yeah.
but also music is inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spaceballs.
It spurns other people on to create.
That's right. And
Dude, I have to admit, I do some of my best writing when I have music on.
well, and it's a constant infinity symbol because, well, we were just inspired by music to take on an entire conversation where we created smell-o-vision and taste-o-vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, someone can take that conversation, which they are listening to, and actually develop that.
Right.
Into film.
And then the first person to try the Hannibal Lecter movie can tell us in a song.
Well, I think of action movies, with fight scenes. That would be pretty intense in smell-o-vision and in music. I mean, it already is for the music part of it, but you
Some
take
of-
that music out and that
Some of our
creates...
most inspiring songs come from action films.
Yes.
Eye of the Tiger.
Oh, yeah. There's a number of them.
I'm trying to remember what the song is called. It's a CCR song, and it is at the beginning of almost every war movie of like Vietnam War, because it's about the Vietnam War. I can't remember what.
Fortunate Son?
Yes, that's it. Friend, that movie, or that song, which created an inspiration through the war movies that we all saw as young adults and kids, can create inspiration in us now to work harder and do better.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like, okay, so I am a song person, and if I'm having a really, really shitty, horrible day, I will seriously just, like, I am not the greatest singer in the world, I'll give you that, but I will sit here and I'll, like, sing at the top of my lungs and listen to my music. It is one thing that I can get out of or into a depression with. Like, for real. And, like, in order to, like, clean or in order to play certain games or to do certain things, I have to put on specific music that, like, motivates me to do this. And I, like, do it with the rhythm of the music. That's my like, cleaning is my big one. I will be by myself and I will turn up my music and it's all like that pump you up stuff. And I'll just go through and I'll, like, clean like a mad person to my crazy pump you up music.
That's because it's triggering different sections of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
You look at things like the vagal nerve. If you do humming, or you get really deep and go, if you do that long enough, you're literally activating the vagus nerve, or vagal nerve, depending upon who you're talking to, in your body, and it literally releases what I call chemical compounds in the body, and it helps your body to readjust. So if you're in a trauma state, it will, and you do that, and you recognize that you're in a trauma state, which is a huge deal, being able to recognize it, and you do that hum, or some form of hum, it literally releases a lot of that trauma in the body. It doesn't release all of it, but it will open things up to where you're better able to deal and better able to function. And that, in turn, helps the brain to be able to refocus and to be able to get whatever done.
Now,
so that makes perfect sense.
You also got to think about most organized religions have some musical aspect to them.
True.
Also. What? I'm just saying.
You know, my favorite line in a TV show to date that has to do with religion is Sheldon Cooper's mom, Mary Cooper, in the Big Bang Theory, when she says, you start changing the names or the words to prayers, and all of a sudden you're in a church with a guitar. And, you know, like...
Yeah, because there are some churches that don't do music at all. It's forbidden.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Catholic churches, for years, it was an organ and voices. That's it. Vocals. It got everyone together, everyone doing one thing, and there was nothing you were competing against. Because you were all singing as one.
Yeah.
But, like, what? 13 years ago, my own church that I went to as a kid that never did anything other than that, all of a sudden had a full band. And I was playing the bongos for them. Like, it was weird.
It was a little strange.
Because we were still trying to do the old hymns. But we were just kind of spicing them up.
I've been in churches where they don't do music at all, and I find that, to me, I find it very strange. But then I've been in churches where everything is all a cappella. They've got a singing group at the front who is kind of orchestrating things. And then I've been in churches where there's a full band and there's a plexiglass in front of it, and all behind the plexiglass is the band, like the drum set and the piano player and all of that, and it's all going through microphones that's connected to the instruments, and that way it reverberates up and out, but also through the microphones, so that everybody can hear it. But yet there are churches that I've been to, and this is a lot of years ago, but there are churches that I've been to where they don't have anything like that. I mean, you've got a piano player, somebody doing song service at the front, and maybe like a set of drums, maybe.
Yeah.
And there's no barrier or setup that way. It's all hear whatever it is because of how the acoustics are in that specific building. So it makes it really interesting regarding religion and I've been in Catholic churches where it's like everything is via the those in the pews verbally singing. Acapella. Think of the word. Yeah,
acapella hymns. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's it. And then I've been in churches that have organs, Catholic churches that have organs in that play, and I'm like, whoa. I mean, it's everything is different. I mean, when you're dealing with religion, it's very, very different. Then there are folks that I know that don't attend church, and they have their own form of church at home with their families, and they sing, they do piano, all of it. Half the family is musicians, but they choose not to attend church. So I find it very interesting how music is interrelated on so many levels. And it doesn't, in religious frames, it doesn't even, some of the songs don't even have to be religious, but it's significant to them.
Well, I also find it crazy how certain songs can bring people from completely different walks of life together.
Yes, exactly. And that also goes right into the paranormal as well, because those on the other side, many of them have been around music in some fashion or form, and they themselves get drawn in to the music. Mm-hmm. So, you may have somebody on the other side who was extremely famous, whether they're an actor or a musician in some fashion or form, and there's a concert that they have heard about that's going to take place, and they show up. They're on the side stage, or they're in the front row, standing next to whoever and having a grand time, because that's what they want to be doing. It's a heck of a thing to think about, and then you've got like auditoriums that have spirits in them already. And okay, so here's something for Seattle. I used to have a girlfriend who was extremely good at haircutting, and she had her own salon up above the Fifth Avenue Theater. And one of the things that she used to tell me is she used to walk down one of the back staircases at night after her work was over with, because there were times where she'd have customers coming in at between 5 and 7 p.m. at night, and so she'd get out of there at 8 or 9 o'clock, and the Fifth Avenue Theater was going on, and you'd hear music, and so she'd sit, just to come down from her day, she'd sit anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes in the stairwell listening. But when she took me down, because she said, well, I'll give you a ride home after I get done. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she took me down that stairwell. There were a lot of spirits in that stairwell. And I was like, whoa. It was really kind of cool. And it's because the acoustics were better there in that specific stairwell than they were in some of the areas by the stage. I was like, what are you guys? And that's essentially what I got told. I got told by them that was the best place to listen. I was like, wow, okay. So when we're walking down, she's talking about ghosts and spirits, and I'm chuckling to myself because I didn't want to freak her out. But there were quite a few spirits. So it literally will bring in paranormal. Mm-hmm. And I find it fascinating how it does.
And I also find it crazy how, like, we can take a song that isn't necessarily a paranormal song in any way, shape, or form and put it to something, and then it becomes that way. Like Carry On My Wayward Son. Every time I hear that, I think of all kinds of paranormal crap because that was the song that they chose.
No, you don't. You think of one paranormal thing.
Well, no, I mean, I think of, like, Sam and Dean Winchester and all that crap, but because of the different entities and stuff that they interacted with, it's like a whole spectrum of paranormal for that song. Yeah. So every time I hear it, I'm like, sometimes I'll think of vampires, sometimes I'll think of, like, you know, like, all of this different stuff, and I'm like, okay, that is really weird that song automatically just sparks, ooh, my paranormal song. And it's, like, on paranormal song lists and shit now. And you're like, oh, okay, cool.
There's a lot of music that's like that.
Yeah. I have one song, you know Radar Love by Golden Earring?
Yeah.
So I can't help but go at least 20 over the speed limit when that song starts. My foot hits the floor and I don't stop.
Which is why it's not on our car list.
Yes, it is. You keep taking it off. I keep putting it back on there.
Yeah, I don't want to die.
You cannot die to that song.
There's a few songs that I would, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of those songs that if you died to, you did disservice to any car chase movie that was ever freaking made.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And the Dukes of Hazzard would come back to life and slap the shit out of you.
Yeah,
just before you died.
Yeah.
What?
Well, and you know, sound, okay, so sound has been sacred for, like, ever, and, like, if you go back and, like, the sacred, okay, is, like, a huge deal. Yes. And people will continuously try to recreate and make that so that they can enter that spiritual.
That's because it was the first thing Ugg said to his best friend, He just said his name.
Oh.
We're just trying to connect with our roots.
Well, there you go.
Friend, I did get something last week. Friend,
oh, God.
I got a new musical instrument.
Oh, God. Are you going to play it?
No.
Okay, please.
It would wreck all our mics.
Yes.
I got an Aztec death whistle. And it's a real one. It's an actual ceramic one made by an Aztecian, I think that's how they pronounce that, descendant. The design was passed down by his ancestors.
And it does sound like screaming people when you blow into it. It's actually crazy.
This specific one is to signify rebirth. It's not actually meant for death. So it's kind of a cool thing. Like I love this thing. It's one of my favorite new instruments that I got. My dad's gonna hate it. Can't wait till he starts playing guitar and I try and play along.
I was thinking you may have gotten a set of those metal drums.
Which ones?
They're anywhere from about the size of a small salad plate up to bigger than a dinner plate.
Well, so a concave drum with convex pads?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that is on the list.
Yes,
That's on my list too.
A decent one is about $300 for a
Yes,
small
yeah.
dinner plate one.
yeah.
And so it's a long way down the list.
You got your little drum
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, Kayla did buy me a small, just a native drum pad. So,
Tuning forks are on mine because they create a certain vibration.
yes, and that can actually inspire the paranormal in some cases.
Yes, it can.
I would actually be scared for you to have that.
Why?
Because I imagine, Nikki, if you created the wrong tone, some of them would be very upset with you and you'd get a lot of screaming in your ear.
I've got some really good protection angels, so I'm not too worried about it.
No, but just, like,
But I
I
get
guess
where you're
scared
going.
isn't the right word.
No, I get
Fretful.
Ugh.
Because, like, the amount of bitching you'd get from the other side for the next, like, week.
That's,
Okay. So
that's true.
I had to ask because, like, okay, so pretty much every scary, like, movie or everybody that's trying to scare people or whatever, they use, like, the small music boxes. Like, or like a, Jack in the Box where it's like, dear, 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 dear. Okay, it has that twangy, like,
Yeah.
and those have always creeped me out, okay? Like, any of the little music boxes where you gotta wind it and it does its thing, just the twang of it always, like, freaks me out. It reminds me of, like, ghosts, and it always has. Like, even the little wind-up,
Well, yeah.
like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, I can't, ew. Ugh.
But that's because
That's okay.
of stuff like the original Twilight Zone, a few Alfred Hitchcock movies.
Well, actually, for me, it's because, okay, so, like, the old phonographs, like, the old phonograph systems and everything, they were used so prominently back in the day for, like, seances and stuff, and it has that same kind of a old-timey twang to it, and I think that just, like, it just automatically makes me think of, like, ghost circles. Like, I can't...
I was just gonna say that's a past. From what I was picking up on, that's a past life experience, Kayla.
Oh, maybe. God. I really, really hope that I was, like, one of the people going to the seance, not the person, like, orchestrating.
No,
in my
you were
past
the one they were
life.
calling
I don't-
when your husband was trying to get a hold of you, being like, "Where did you bury the money?"
Right.
Why?
Right? But like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I've never actually, really looked into past lives because I'm kind of scared of what I will
I know.
find in my past lives because I'm like, sometimes, like, you know, you have fucked up intrusive thoughts or something and you go, oh God, like,
You know, in one of those.
what
past lives,
did I do? Like, oh, that's crazy.
but like
you were
what
Native
saying-
American in a past life. I just got that. I know that. I mean, I can feel it, and it's something. You were somebody that I knew.
I can see that. Well, I've always believed in, like, your
Oh, Celtic.
circle. God, what do you call that? I don't know. I call it, like, your soul circle, I guess. So it's like you're, like, X amount of people that you meet over and over and over again in different past lives and in different, like, reincarnations and stuff. But you were supposed to meet these specific people. Whether, like, one time they might have been your lover, the next time they might have been the person that killed you, the next time they might have been... But it's, like, groups, and it depends on you how many are in your, like, group. But it's, like, 3 or 5 or 10 people that, like, during your life, you're supposed to meet and continuously meet them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian, what you were saying with the music box and like the Jack in the Box thing,
Yeah.
Brian, it's like that old adage: "What is the best sound in the world?"
Mm-hmm.
Has been and always will be. What is it? A child's laughter. Now, what's the worst fucking sound in the world?
A child's laughter.
A child's laughter when you don't have any children around you. Like,
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Or if
That would be kind of freaky.
no, it is considered the scariest thing possible.
Yeah.
Is to hear a child laughing when you know there is no children.
That
Yeah.
happened to me not too long ago.
Well, I don't know.
What?
It's kind of just like the same thing as like hearing a baby cry if there's
I
no
was out
babies
in the
around.
Park a few nights ago, and
You were doing what?
I was out at the park a few nights ago, and I heard that. And it was really weird.
Did it scare you?
I was just confused.
Well, that would suggest possible Fae or even Sasquatch being around.
I could take him.
Or something else.
Just let
Like, angry?
Yeah,
no,
sure
like-
you can.
in a fight.
Yep. You got this.
Yeah.
I have faith
The
in you,
fairies,
Johnny.
you could just like squash him like a bug.
With your
You
bum.
do realize that not all Fae are like Thumbelina sized, right?
Even if they're like dwarf size, I could just kick them.
Well, first of all,
Ooh.
we don't call them that anymore. We call them little people, okay? And second of all, you don't kick them. That's rude.
Sorry.
Oh,
John, I think you've seriously underestimated your foe. Okay.
just ever so tiny.
Just a little
Oh,
bit.
my
Just a little bit. I kind of want a blood fairy to come and hunt you down now.
I can take him. You just kick him.
Okay,
I'm
so
pretty sure Sasquatch is
Kayla,
going to touch you in the shame cave.
Yeah.
Celtic Ireland is what I got, and Indigenous Native American is also what I got, and you were a male in that lifetime, and you were somebody that I knew.
Oh, hey, girl, hey.
You were
And I knew a lot of very, very famous people in that specific lifetime of my. I mean, like
Secretly with a man.
very famous
Nice.
Native American. So I don't know what specific
With a man, don't even.
What?
group, what tribe. I have no idea right now.
I always kind of figured that, like, at least one of my lifetimes, I don't think I was, like, human.
And I just heard you were a farmer
Or a
in another
sea pickle.
lifetime.
I would be a terrible farmer, too.
I bet you.
I've seen her plant. She's not kidding.
I bet you were like.
I would be a horrible farmer. I feel bad for anybody who is relying on me for those crops.
I bet you're either a sea pickle or like an oyster.
See, that's what I'm saying. I feel like at least one of my past lives, I definitely wasn't human.
I could see Mom as like being a sea pickle or like an oyster in the ocean.
I could totally see myself being a sea animal of some kind. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Isn't there sea slugs?
Yeah.
No, a spaghetti slug. That's what you would be.
Well, as long as it's not a banana slug. That'd be cool.
Pioneer is the word I heard.
Pioneer.
Yeah, I couldn't grab it. I was being shown a picture and I could not grab the word.
I'm pretty
So they
sure
were
I
showing me
died
the-
of dysentery on the Oregon Trail if I was a pioneer.
Agreed.
Because I don't think I'd last very long in that either. Like,
Well, it would have to have been before 1850. 1840, 1850. So it would have had to have been before that. And the only term that I could classify it as is pioneer because I was shown something very specific.
huh.
We're in,
Interesting. Been a while.
I could be a settler. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I always, like, I wonder sometimes too, because, like, okay, so I get, like, strangely addicted to certain areas when I'm, like, watching my documentary shows and stuff. Okay, like, certain places will show up and I'll be like, huh, that seems almost, like, familiar, but not really. Like, and then I, like, watch a bunch of shows on that because I'm like, dude, something about this feels different. So it always makes me wonder if that was, like, something that I like had seen in a past life somewhere before or something.
Or had done.
Right.
That's usually what that means.
I think in your previous life before this, you were a social worker.
Why?
Because you love Touched by an Angel way too much.
I do love that show. I gotta admit, I love that show. I don't know why. It's not great, but
Friend. So, we all know that the paranormal can be inspired by music.
yes.
How much does the paranormal itself actually inspire music?
Not that much.
Really?
In the categories I listen to.
Do you know we have an entire musical instrument just due to the paranormal?
Which one?
The theremin.
The theremin.
Oh, I forgot that was an instrument.
I can't even remember what the hell that is right now.
It's the
My
little
main
electronic one where you move your hand and it goes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Alright,
it created the theme song to Star Trek.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
The guy who created it based it off dream with quotation marks he had pertaining to instruments he had never seen before on a table that he was placed on.
interesting.
Yeah. Friend. So it's very possible that he was an abductee himself.
and then
Judging
just
by the dream that
recreated
had,
what he
and
dreamed.
recreated
Right.
something from it that created the sound that he listened to.
And now is like an iconic Star Trek like paranormal thing. Oh, okay.
Well, no, it's not just Star Trek though. That's used in ghost movies and zombie movies and
that's used in a lot.
The
Yeah.
Grudge.
huh?
The Grudge, it's using that.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Friend, but so are fingernails on a chalkboard. Friend.
Ugh. That every time I even hear somebody mention that, it makes my teeth like.
Yeah. That's what I think of aluminum on teeth. I'm like,
Right?
that's as bad as the nails on the chalkboard.
Right? Like, that sound in itself just sends something through your spine that makes you go, oh my god! You can't help it.
Oh, not exactly.
So, I mean, like, I guess, like what Cole was saying, not just, like, music, but sound in general, certain sounds will bring you back to something, or make you think of something, or
someone.
right?
There are songs that we equate to human beings, to an event in our life, or to a certain person.
Yes.
And that's kind of a big deal. It's in the grand scheme of things, because that really can, if they're on the other side, that can be deliberately played. They can manipulate energy in a specific way and trigger somebody else to play. If they're in radio, they can trigger somebody else to play that song at a specific day and time, which will trigger you.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that one. I mean, that's really...
You know, I feel the same way about certain written word, though. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I equate to a lot of people certain poems. Like, and every time that I hear specific poems, it, like, triggers a memory that I had with that person and, like, makes me remember that person.
Yeah, exactly.
I equate
What's the
poems
same-
to TV.
To TV?
Yes.
Why?
Nevermore.
Oh, okay.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Nope. The Simpsons. Treehouse of Horrors.
Oh my god. Well, okay. Birds, animals are the same way. I mean, if you work around certain animals and equate. That can also go into the music aspect as well, and with paranormal. Something gets triggered and called up on your screen, your device, and it's got animals in it. Is that how many times out of so many numbers, how often is that going to trigger you to remember somebody? You know, that you equate that person with, and which then triggers a memory of the music. Well, then it's inspired to where you've got to play. You can't get away from it. You've got to play that song, or it will not. This energy will not come out of you until that song is played.
I kind of feel like that's when you say you got a song stuck in your head.
Yeah,
okay?
Earworm.
And it's like on repeat and repeat and repeat, and you've heard it like 30 times in your head, and for some reason the only way to like really get it out of there is to like full bore listen to that song and like sing along with it, and then it's like it subsidizes, like it makes it just like kind of go away, and then you're
it
like,
releases.
That was a really weird song to have stuck in my head for what reason? And then like sometimes it will trigger like a memory of somebody or something.
Well,
and you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's because I was having such a bad day that this song started playing in my head, so that it made me remember that it could be worse, or that this could happen. Or
a lot of psychologists believe that the reason you get songs stuck in your head is you need that song at that moment.
Now, I feel I
There's
feel
also
really
the
weird about
paradox.
that, though.
There's also there's also the paranormal side to that, to where many people do not pay attention to the earworm as to why it's being done, and it's very possible that the paranormal is deliberately creating it to help you in some fashion or form, or specifically to trigger, which is what you just talked about, which is triggering different things in order to release either the energy out of your body, or, and here's the thing about it, to get you to make a recognition of something. So even though you've got the psychology of it, the other side to that, and I do mean the other side, the paranormal side, can be doing it in order to help you. So there's a few different, there's the scientific factor and then there's the paranormal factor to it. But here's the crux of it. How many people actually pay attention?
Well, like, okay, so 2 weeks ago, I had the weirdest song stuck in my head, and I hadn't heard it for years, and it came out of nowhere, and I was like, dude, there is absolutely no reason that I should have even thought of that song, let alone had it stuck in my head. And it's that old song, and it's just really, it's kind of dumb, but it's the day the teddy bears had their picnic. The one where it's like, if you go out in the woods today.
I can't.
Okay. And there was no reason at all that I could think of that song got stuck in my head. I was like,
what day was this?
What the hell? It was a couple weeks ago.
So what was going on in the woods?
No.
What?
I think that more has to do where you learned that song from.
Oh, maybe.
Who taught you that song, Kayla?
My grandmother. But that was like, I was like 6 when she taught me that, but yeah.
Okay, so then that comes into play as to if grandmother taught it to you, is it a reminder specifically of your grandmother and something else that she wanted you to remember from that time period? If this had to do with paranormal.
I'm thinking more of the correlation of where'd you apply for a job?
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
I mean,
Maybe you are supposed to
that's
reach
a
out to
possible.
them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess her dad did die there, so.
Yeah, but just because he died there doesn't mean that he stayed there.
Right.
You know, some of them get earthbound and others don't. So, you know,
Right.
the choice.
But that could also be your sign that you can reach out to him there, and you should.
Maybe.
That's true. It's a possibility.
Yeah, maybe I'll check it out next week. I don't want to do anything.
If he says come into the oven, that's not him. Do not go.
No.
This way,
God.
little girl. Ah! God.
We're not Hansel and Gretel going into the oven. God.
I think I'd be more the Wicked Witch in that sense than Hansel or Gretel. Oh,
Anybody
man.
ever seen that movie, Hansel and Gretel? The one from the mid-2000s? It's a pretty good movie.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's got Hawkeye in it.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
where they're
I-
grown up or one
yeah.
where they're kids?
The grown-ups.
Oh, yeah.
But it would have been
yeah.
a lot better if he would have had his arrows.
Yeah, I
mean, he
agree.
would have done a lot better job.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh my god.
That way he wouldn't have stand a chance.
But then
I
wouldn't that
wanted
make
them
him
to
like the
make it-
huntsman?
I wanted them to make him I wanted them to do a sequel of that movie. I was like, God, this was good. I really enjoyed that movie. Anyway,
That
but
was
yeah.
a dangerous one, though, to do a sequel for.
Yeah, it would have been, but it would have been good.
Where do you go?
Alright.
That's the problem. It's like, you never know how an audience is going to react to a sequel that doesn't actually exist
Well,
pre-date.
in the lore, they say that Hansel went on to become the huntsman.
For Snow White.
For Snow White. Yes.
So he just left Gretel to be. What a prick.
Just saying.
Friend.
Like, if you actually think
I thought
about,
in the
like...
original lore they both died.
Mm-mm.
No,
Nope.
No?
Nope.
no.
Actually, weirdly enough, Hansel and Gretel, the original story, was more inspirational than anything else, which is weird for the time period, because most of the time it was about death and destruction and everything else, because, well, that's what you get for not listening to your parents and doing this, you know what like, they were all fable stories, so it was like,
Yeah.
this is what happens to you when this happens. This is why we don't go in the woods by ourselves. This is why we don't... Like, there's usually moraling and stuff there. Which, I mean, there are certain morals to Hansel and Gretel, don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
most of the time in the old tales, the main person died in a horrific way. So, yeah.
Yep. Oh, we got somebody listening in. Hello.
I would hope so.
I meant paranormal. Oh,
And we have our first listener.
After 5 years, great.
God.
Damn it,
Yeah.
people. Friend.
Yes.
So, with the paranormal inspiring music,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
how far do you think that goes?
Oh, quite a ways, I think.
Well, I think that certain tones and certain tunes that people... Not that people are not creative in their own aspects, in their own ways and everything else. And not that we can't do any kind of original anything ever. But a lot of it, I think, does come from the other side.
Yeah. A lot of instigation, a lot of inspiration from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the paranormal pushing certain individuals to create, to write, those who become songwriters, professional songwriters.
Mm-hmm.
I find that fascinating.
Well, okay, so songs or stories. I'm gonna go songs, stories, poems, different creative aspects. There's a lot of people that will tell you that it just came to them. Like, it wasn't like they were sitting there going, this is what I'm gonna write about and this is what's gonna happen. They were like, dude, I picked up a piece of paper because this thought just came to me and I had to write it down. Some of our big ones like that would be like Stephen King, for instance. Like, he will tell you that his books are based off of his dreams.
Yeah.
That they come from a place that he has no idea about, and he'll wake up and go, holy crap, and just start writing, and then we have The Shining. You know, something like within, like, that kind of inspiration. It feels like it has to come from somewhere, and maybe somewhere that isn't necessarily just your own thought process. Like somebody kind of pushing you or nudging you in that direction or way.
Well, and all songs are forms of stories, so, I mean, it just depends on what genre it's in and how it comes about. But yeah, you're right. I agree.
Because, I mean, like, there are some super famous writers. Queen is one that they would sit down and they'd, like, do all these things and, like, and then something would just come to them and they'd write it down and it would be like, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hey.
Friend. So, just doing a quick search, there's not a lot out there about being inspired by paranormal things. But there is an entity actually caused someone to lose their career.
Where's that?
Demi Lovato.
Okay.
She performed an entire concert for auditorium filled with ghosts.
Huh.
Excuse me?
Yeah. And now she will never tour again. Almost her entire fan base has lost faith in her because it all stemmed from she was on one episode of The Unexplained. And all of a sudden she was a full-time paranormal investigator, and there's an entire YouTube video of her interacting with a spirit over one of the boxes.
Spirit box?
Yeah, spirit boxes, talking to it and then singing to it. Her song Skyscraper. And then 3 months later, when she stopped doing touring at all. 3 months later, she decides to. She held a concert for empty auditorium, and she said it's because it was filled with entities that she had asked to come.
Interesting.
Then she fell off the face of the earth for 4 years.
First I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Friend. She finally showed up again. She attended the Met Gala this year, which she hasn't been to in 8 years since she slammed it for being stupid.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you'd call that inspiration.
I guess.
Or just destruction.
Well, I think it honestly has to do with how she feels about it. Like, we can sit there and judge somebody based on anything that they do, but I mean, if they truly believe
now she's claiming it was just mental issues and that it was from too much touring and all that.
Okay. Well, then it could be like some kind of a psychotic break in that case, for sure.
But I don't know.
Or that's the PR that they're putting out so that she will not be, not unalived, what's the word? To where her career doesn't go down the complete toilet.
Yeah.
Holy.
Like, being famous and saying you believe in this stuff.
Oh yeah, it's a career killer.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at Blink-182.
Well, okay,
There's
and
also
look at
a lot of people who's gotten famous through this.
Look at
Same
Sammy
time.
Hagar. I mean, he's talking about some of his paranormal stuff. I heard him interviewed, and he posted it on his own Facebook page. I mean, he's got the little symbol and all of that, the check mark. Ow. Okay, I got a hierarchy trying to pester me. Leave my ear alone, would you please? Anyway, so I've seen him interviewed and him talking about bits and pieces of his paranormal stuff. And he's still doing things. Career-wise, he's still doing different things. And I'm like, that's a big deal. For somebody of his magnitude to still be doing career things and talking about it, because this kind of stuff is typically a huge career killer when it comes to people coming out. But the timing may be right as well. Whereas 10, 15, even 20 years ago, there'd be no way in hell you'd even be remotely talk about this kind of thing. Because it really would be a career killer.
I also think it's what you've done in your past.
Yeah, that too.
So no one has a problem
know.
with the fact that Dan Aykroyd has publicly said he fully believes in aliens, ghosts, everything. He believes in it all.
Well, he's also got the connections as well.
Exactly.
Well,
I mean,
he's a Ghostbuster. Like, come.
It's who you're connected to.
If anything, that probably made his career even more.
Oh yeah, but he would never have to explain it away.
Yeah.
But
He's
also
actually
the other
somebody
part of that is he does it with tact.
Yes, he does.
I think that's
He's
the
not
biggest
like-
difference.
Yeah, he's not blatant and in people's faces about it.
Yeah.
He's actually one I'd love to have a private conversation with.
The guy from Blink-182. Tom.
DeLonge.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
He has no tact whatsoever. And I didn't expect him to. His music isn't tactful. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to express what they were feeling at that point in time. But he, like, up until he did all this stuff, he was still touring. So he still had to express that stuff. I mean, fuck, he still tours, it's just not as good.
Well, you look at somebody like Mr. John Sykes, who has come out in one of the, what was it, the last 2 years, 3 years, where he actually put out a new song. And, of course, I don't remember the name of the song right now, but it talks about, was it Paperclip and Blue? I don't remember the things on it right now, but, I mean, I was pretty freaking impressed at the fact that he was mentioning these very specific government projects in a song, in a major song. I was like, whoa, that's huge.
And he's alive.
I mean, kudos to him for doing it. I mean, granted, his career's in a different ballgame nowadays than somebody like Hagar, but at the back in the 80s, his career was flying high. It was in the process of flying high. So there's all different sorts of folks out there that have had different. Now, I don't know if he's had paranormal. He's another one I'd actually like to talk with. There's some information I'd like to give him. I don't know if he knows yet, but anyway. I had a ghostie come and have a
So-
conversation with me. But anyway, yeah, so there are people in the music industry that have had paranormal, and some of it gets put out into their music, and they never speak about it. They never publicly talk about it. Privately, different story,
So,
but
Lady Gaga did publicly talk about a song that was inspired by a ghost. So
yeah.
she says, Lady Gaga says that the ghost of fashion designer Alexander McQueen inspired her to write one of her hit songs, Born This Way. The singer says, right after his death, I wrote Born This Way. I feel like his presence was with me the entire time. I think he's somewhere up in heaven with fashion strings in his hand, marionetting away, and he planning the whole thing.
I feel like that's different.
Why?
Because by that run, Candle in the Wind, the coasting Princess Diana was with him when he started rewriting it. Mm-hmm. But that's not true. That's a memory.
I was going to say, and he knew her personally and knew her very well.
And she knew this fashion designer. Like Lady Gaga knew that fashion designer. I think that would be more considered a memory. It would still be considered a presence.
Well, you never know. I mean, hello, you can have any one of the spirits can come and visit you. I mean, hell, I had Aunt, who was it, Ann Landers or her sister? I never remember which one it was. Either way, back in the 90s, they would come and one of them was passed and the other sister was alive at the time, and it was the one that always talked about cleaning. And at the time, I was cleaning my kids' cloth diapers at the time, and I used to have, only I didn't recognize it as her. I knew it was, I don't know how to explain this. I knew that the information that was being put in my head wasn't coming from me. I didn't know who it was coming from, and I knew spirits were around, and it wasn't until years later that I put it together, because I used to see her face in my head, and then I would get a recipe that I had never seen, never heard about, and it would, I mean, spotless white cotton. Spotless. And I was like, where did that come from? And I always assumed it was Grandma, and then I was like, well, wait a minute. Why would I get this other woman's face? And then I knew immediately who it was. I just didn't put it all together until years later. I was like, oh my God. And she used to always come around me. She goes, oh no, try this, try that. I'm like, oh my God, where are these recipes coming from? And it wasn't until years later that I actually found the recipes that were directly correlated to her. And I was like, holy cripes. So, I mean, yeah, spirits can come to you and show you different things, and it was incredible. You know, hello.
Right.
Everything from cleaning cloth diapers to stains out of kids' clothes to stains out of your gardening clothes to, I mean, just all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, it just, I found it fascinating. And I'm going to say something that's probably going to get me into trouble with somebody or a family, an entire family I know, family of 6 kids. I know that one of my deceased friends goes to, she goes to all of her kids, but to one specific daughter who plays piano and sings. I know she does. And I know that she inspires her daughter in very specific ways. And I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, I think it's fantastic. I
can feel, when my dad plays guitar, I can feel my grandpa in the room.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense. So, I mean, paranormal, spirits, the other side, it all takes into an effect on all of this in some fashion or form. And it's just, how much are you going to pay attention and how much are you going to realize? When the rubber meets the road, are you paying attention? And I don't mean you, Cole, specifically. I mean everybody. You know, if you have a thought that you know isn't coming from you, I would be saying, hey, who is this coming from? And if you get an answer, pay attention.
Yeah. And if you ask Kayla when the rubber hits the road, I don't pay attention. I'm texting and driving.
Now, that's a no-no.
In my mind, it's okay.
Yeah, however, Washington state law.
Ugh.
No, not like
Dude.
when actually driving, but like when something happens. Nah,
No,
friend, I got that, and that's the thing. I think that's 90% of why I don't notice shit. I don't. In my mind, there's too much shit that I have to pay attention to here.
yeah, I get that.
Well, fuck.
Yes.
All of us have no problem walking into a place that could have a malevolent entity in it.
Yep.
But a place that could have 5 guys with guns, well,
That's different.
that's different to us. Because
They can act.
to us, they're more dangerous. It's more real.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, malevolent
Yeah.
entities we can handle. Guns, well, we're not bulletproof.
Well, here's the thing with both of those thoughts. Malevolent entity, you think you can handle it.
Yeah.
7 out of 10 times you can't, because hello, it's a form of paranormal and you're dealing with malevolent and you're dealing with a kind of energy that you're not used to dealing with.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Most of the people don't
One of the things I always wanted to teach on this show is, number 1, you never walk in alone.
That's
Number
true.
2, you're never the smartest person in the room, and you not gonna make sure of it. You make sure there's someone with more fucking experience and more knowledge than you.
Yeah.
Because if you know everything, you don't have a reason to be scared. So if you're scared, you don't know everything. Like,
Well, if you're scared, you're realistic too.
yeah, but so like, I would have no problem walking in there because I'm not walking in there alone ever.
Oh.
Well,
Friend,
And how many people are carrying nowadays?
yeah, right?
Yeah,
Friend.
there's quite a lot.
I honestly don't ever feel like I'm alone.
The voices in my
Like
head
in a
keep me
good way or a
company.
bad way?
The voices in my head keep me company.
No, but I mean, like, seriously, I always feel like there's other people around. Like, even if I am 100% alone, I never feel like I am.
Yeah, that's because you never are. The only time I ever in my entire life felt like I was alone was the night I was psychically attacked by the government asshats, and I not only dealt with them, but because of my own not knowing how powerful I was with my energy, I not only blew them out and injured one of them, I blew out the entire frickin' property. And the spirits, the guide, everybody. I mean, it not only freaked me out, it freaked the paranormal side out in a major way. And for 2.5 days, my apartment and the entire property that I was living on at the time was silent. And it was the very first time where I said, oh my God, is this what it's like for the everyday average person? It freaked me out. I was like, this is what it's really... I mean, it was the very first time I actually felt completely alone. Totally and completely alone. And it was because I had done an energy burst in order to protect myself.
No, I can tell you, man, like, I'm terrified of ghosts. I'll be the first person to tell you that. I know Cole will tell you I am terrified of ghosts, okay? There's no actual reason behind this, not really. I just it's always been, like, a complete irrational fear for me since I can remember. It's just something that I've always been afraid of. And I think that's one of the reasons I hate actually being alone. Okay? I like being around other people, like, on a constant basis, because I hate, like, alone. Because again, like I said, I never feel like I'm alone. I always feel like there's some kind of presence around me or something. So, when I'm with other people and I'm talking to people and I'm interacting with other human beings, I don't notice it as much, I guess. So I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. But if I ever am, and it's very rare that I actually am by myself. But when I am, it's like, I'm like constantly looking over my shoulder. I'm like, oh God. Like, I can't handle it.
I've got a question for you. What happened in this lifetime in childhood that traumatized you regarding the paranormal?
It could be a massive number of things. To be honest, it could be a huge number of things.
I think the number one thing would be the basement.
Yeah, probably.
Because you had stories when you were little from your mom about how terrifying that fucking basement was.
Yeah, that basement was scary, though. It was an unfinished basement, and it had, like, rafters. And then there was this fruit room that had jars of canned fruit and stuff in it. And that place was fucking scary. But, yeah, I mean, the basement was kind of creepy. And it was a house that my grandfather built. So...
He built that basement by his hands.
Yeah. So it was all handmade. Yeah. My grandparents built it.
It was a cool basement.
Your parents did too.
Yeah, my parents did too. Yes. And my aunts and uncles and everything. Like, it was a family, it was a homestead. And it started out as like a one-room little shack, and then they added on and then made a basement. And it ended up being like a 7-bedroom house by the end.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that basement was terrifying. Oh.
I will say, I can't wait till me and Kayla both pass away. And the first time she's ghost, you know that ghost that has always been popularized by pop culture, who is just sitting there moaning and crying? That's going to be Kayla because she's scared of herself.
Great. I'm going to be moaning Myrtle. Right.
Moaning Myrtle.
Be like, why?
So, no, but, like, okay, so, not only was the house that I grew up in rather terrifying, I mean, it was built in, like, the 1930s, and it was huge, and, like, you had to go up all these creaky old stairs, and there was a creepy-ass basement with a furnace in it. It wasn't even, like, okay, and it was, like, an oil furnace that would kick on. It'd be like, and like, I don't know. It was actually pretty terrifying. But the property itself was super creepy, too. Because, like, half of it was, like, wooded. And it had, like, corkscrew maples and, like, all of these really creepy-ass trees and shit. And, like, my grandmother was very, very into every kind of possible gardening, everything you could possibly think of. And she would tell you everything about any plant that you would see. And she could tell you the medicinal uses for, like, everything about every plant. She knew, like, so much about nature and plants and stuff. But I had this weird dream after both of my grandparents died. And I've never actually really told anybody about this because it was fucking terrifying. But I was... And my grandparents weren't scary people, like, by any means. But there was these huge cedar trees on this property. And I mean gigantic, like, old growth cedars. And, like I said, like, corkscrew maples and, like, all of this stuff. And it was, like, this dark area of the property because it was so wooded. And my grandmother died when I was like 7, and my grandfather died when I was like 12. And I had this dream after my grandpa died of my grandma, like, sitting, but like more perched, I guess, up in these trees, and my grandfather, like, climbing up this tree and perching next to her, and just, like, staring at the house on this perch on this tree. And it was just, like, it made my, like, skin crawl. Like, I don't know, it was, like, this creepiest fucking thing ever, and I was just like, oh, God. So every time I would go outside, or I would look anywhere near that area, all I could think of is them perched on the trees staring at me. I don't know. It was fucking scary.
So, from the age of 12, you had those dreams.
Yeah, of my grandparents perched on a tree staring at the house. But that was, like, after they both died. Like, I didn't have them before they did, and I haven't had one of those in a couple of years now. I think, I haven't had one of those dreams for, like, oh, man, I guess when they sold the house. The last time I had it was when they demolished the house and built condos there. Weird.
Have you ever thought that you might be an ET abductee?
No. No, I've never actually really thought about it, but I mean, like, I guess anything is possible, but...
I do know for a fact Kayla is haunted by the soul of a squirrel.
Oh, I did kill that squirrel there. It was really, really weird, though. Like, I didn't mean to kill a squirrel. I was driving a tractor,
Nobody believes you.
and the tractors go, like, 0 miles per hour, dude. Like, and this squirrel was in front of me, and I'm like, he'll move. And he just never moved, and I ran it over. And I'm like, why the fuck didn't squirrel move? Like, they always move. Sorry. No, but there was a lot of really creepy shit that happened at that house. That house was, like, super creepy.
Especially when we were, like, moving everything out. When I was cleaning up the garage area.
Yeah.
I found some weird things.
Yeah, no, like, my grandparents have, like, oh, God, there's an entire garage that was full of, like, old antiques. Like, the entire back and upstairs of it, and, like, the entire property was just full of, like, really creepy shit. I don't know how to put it any other way.
We found boxes that said Reunion 1973 written on them. They were taken there, they were brought back, and just put in the garage. They were never unpacked, and they were food.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some weird shit.
I also found this really, like, weird puppet.
But yes, the puppets, yes.
Not the string one. I found a hand one.
The flying clown? Or the little hand puppet?
It was a little, like, girl puppet.
Oh,
weird.
yeah.
Don't even. I spent 1 week with Dondi's doll room.
Oh.
Marionette?
Yeah, something like that.
And then, and they all, my grandma collected porcelain dolls. Okay? And, like, from all over the world collected porcelain dolls.
Yeah.
She had, oh God, it must have been at least 1,000 dolls. And when my grandparents died, my aunt inherited the house from them, and she moved into the room upstairs and put shelving all the way around the room and put all of the dolls on the shelves in that room. And yeah, there was just thousands of dolls staring from the
I spent a week
shelves.
cleaning every single doll and putting it away in its box.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm telling you, like, I grew up in the scariest freaking house Okay, because my grandmother also collected old jars and like had an entire area of the garage where there were shelves and shelves of old jars that she collected. They also collected rocks. So there were all different types of rocks and crystals and stones and stuff like that. There was just a lot of really old creepy shit in that place. And then I like grew up there, so I was just kind of used to it, but it was a scary place if you think about it.
What did you find out about the land?
Nothing.
Yeah, it's just
Which land? Like her grandparents' house land?
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't look as big when you put a condo on it.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Lot less
so
stick
when
versus two.
my grandparents originally moved here, they had, 8 acres or something like that. And the school, a school decided to move in behind them. So there was an elementary school that was behind, my grandparents' house. And they, I can't remember what that's called, where the government comes in and takes your land for a project.
Oh, eminent domain.
Eminent domain or some shit like
Yeah.
that. Okay, so they ended up taking all but like an acre of their land to build.
Jeez.
They took 4 acres first, and then they took the other 3.
To build this elementary school for the area. So they're like, it used to be like a little farm that they had. Like they had pigs and they had all this like chickens and everything. Yeah. And then when it went down to just an acre, like we were the only ones. This is in Alderwood Manor, so Linwood area.
Yeah.
Then when it went down to an acre, we were like some of the only people allowed to still have chickens because they were grandfathered in. So like growing up, we always had like 10 chickens in this big chicken coop in the middle of the property. But there was, so there was the house, and the house was like huge. I mean, like I said, it was like 6-7 bedrooms, huge. And then off to the side, there was the creepy area where all the woods were. And then beside that, there was a shed that had like gardening tools and tractors and stuff in it. And then a fire pit. And then a like 20-car garage on the other side of it with a wood shed off of it. Yeah, I don't know. It was really creepy though, growing up. It's freaky.
So it started being built in 1930.
In the 1930s. It was late 30s, so it would have been like 1938, 39. And as they had more kids, they built more rooms and everything
added up.
else. Because at the end, my mother had there were 7 of them. And then my great grandpa used to live in the wood shed. What they made into the tool shed.
Yeah.
It was a little cabin right there that they had for him. And he used to live there until I think he had Alzheimer's is what happened. But then he ended up being put in Northern State. But he used to live in that shed there by the trees.
Yeah. I was just wondering if there was something on the property.
I don't think so. Like, I never got, like, I don't... Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes, probably, most likely. Why? You've been there. You've been there several times. Like, up until, like, what? 2018? 2017?
Okay, I get the feeling there was something on the property, but I get the feeling it was also contained.
The reason I asked is because it with the way that you're describing it, it's goes beyond, above and beyond the typical kid fear. And with the fact that you have your own abilities, that it leads me into you yourself for picking up on a lot of different information at the time.
Okay.
And
so,
a kid can manifest their own fear based on what they intuitively know. And if that information is shoved down and internalized as a psychic kid, it can make the situation and the feelings much worse.
you know, I gotta say, okay, so my grandmother, how would I put that in a way that's not, and I mean it not to be offensive in any way.
No, just say it.
I'm
always one. Just say it. Be blunt.
So, she was different. I don't know how to put that any other way besides she was very different. For her time, her era that she lived in, she was actually ridiculously smart. Like, ridiculously smart. And she kept, like, encyclopedias. We had an entire library in there that was her stuff. And she would... I guess now you would almost call it a nature witch. Okay?
Yeah.
Because...
That's what I was thinking.
She would grow things that were absolutely not supposed to grow in Washington, and they would be huge, beautiful trees. Like, we had a myrtle wood tree in the yard.
It's not just that. This is why I think that it's contained. Whatever it or was contained, whatever
Yes,
it was.
because my grandmother was very different.
I don't think your grandma planted this one. There was one tree there. It was a big leaf maple.
Yes.
So,
You talking about
this thing was 15 feet wide.
The one with the rope swing?
Yeah.
Now, on average, they only get up to about 9 feet wide in diameter.
Usually.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, the weird shit that grew there was
The
not
canopy
normal.
of that tree, which their canopy usually isn't that big, it covered the entire house and most of the yard.
Well, and then the entire other side was a giant weeping willow.
Yeah.
Okay, and I mean a huge, like the biggest weeping willow I've ever seen. And then we had a myrtle wood tree that was there. We had Japanese maples. We had like 6 or 7 dogwood trees. And then she lined the entire property in, oh God, what are those? Rhododendrons. And then she planted a whole bunch of lily of the night and that kind of stuff under the canopy. So there would be like all of these flowers that were like night flowers.
Yeah.
All over underneath the canopy. And then we had a holly tree, like 3 giant plum trees, 2 pear trees, and 3 apple trees.
She was protecting the land.
Yeah, like, and everything that she ever planted grew. It didn't matter what it was. She would plant things that were not supposed to grow there, and they would grow. Like, we had a dinner plate magnolia that grew there.
Yeah. The only way, okay, I'm going to be really blunt. You're dealing with somebody that has an extreme amount of specific kind of energy. To be able to do the kind of things that you're talking about isn't beyond green thumb. It's beyond the knowledge, even the knowledge of the green thumb. That is internal energy. Mm-hmm. To be able to do that, did she walk around barefoot most of the time?
Yeah.
On the property? Yeah.
Yeah, and she would take
She
us.
was constantly grounding. That's the other thing.
And that was the weird thing is, like, my sisters and her were not as close as me and her were. Like, she would take me out and we would go wandering through the, like, woods and stuff. And she'd talk to me about all of the different flowers and all the different trees and what you could do with them. And she would, like, make her own paper out of her trees. And she would, like, do all these art projects and different projects and stuff. And then she was that person that always had a book with her, like, all of the time. But they were weird books. They weren't books that people would just sit there and read. They were, like, encyclopedias and stuff that she would be reading. It wasn't, like, nonfiction or fiction or anything like that. It would be, like, knowledge-based books. She was always had some kind of encyclopedia or some kind of, like, remedy book, and she would cook, and she would cook all the time. She made all kinds of weird food, and then she would go out in the garden and pick all kinds of crap, and, like, use it to make dinners and, like, teas and stuff like that.
Were the jars canning jars that she kept, or were they other kind of jars?
She had all different kinds of jars. There was a lot of canning jars, but that's because she would, like, can like a crazy person. But
I keep hearing the word bell jar.
What
Or
the fuck is a bell
phrase.
jar?
Well, there's a number of meanings of bell jar. Bell and then the word jar. There's a number of meanings, anywhere from submarine uses, ocean terms. There's also terms in very, very old forms of Wicca and natural energy, where
it looks almost like a candy jar.
Jars, yeah, the jars can be used to, without lids, they do not need lids, but they can be used as forms of containers.
Dude, I have like 12 of these that I got from her.
For the paranormal.
Yeah, no, she has a crap ton of these.
Okay.
And then she also collected, like, oh god, there were just so many weird things. I don't know. Now that I think about it, I'm like, there was a lot of really weird stuff in that house. Well, and there would always be flowers and stuff that were hung upside down.
But you always...
Like, drying flowers.
Oh, she was drying herbs and stuff.
Yeah, and she would,
she was making her own herbal remedies?
Yeah, and she would show me how to press flowers. Like, we did all kinds of flower pressing and stuff. Like, I don't know. I just did a crap ton of stuff.
Anytime I went over there, there was always something cool.
What?
Nothing. Just think we're making a connection.
What?
Well, we've been talking about your grandma and everything.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we seen a deer in the Cape? Let alone the backyard.
Was there a deer in the backyard? Was that what you guys were looking at?
Yes.
Yeah. There's never deer back there.
There's a deer. And Luce was, like, kind of...
chasing it, trying to ride its back.
Yeah.
Oh.
Trying to do something to it.
Yeah.
Deer.
Weird. Okay, well, I don't know. Family. But, like, I don't
Pay
know.
attention to signs.
Yes.
Yeah.
This means we should plant a lemon tree.
When you pay for it, we absolutely fucking will.
I just planted an apple tree. I can't plant a lemon tree.
I want a lemon tree.
I'm not allowed to plant things anymore.
Yeah.
I planted a plum tree.
And it's too
And
successful.
it did so good.
Then it broke all the branches. Too many plums grew on it. And now it's just a stick.
Well, then you need to protect it.
Yeah, okay.
And
Except we went
prune
out
it.
there and it was just like.
Just duct tape it back together always helps.
Tried that, didn't work.
And you just
Go
cut
back
off,
to your nature
cut
roots.
'em off.
And I have one nectarine tree that this year has nothing on it again. I've gotten one nectarine once.
Yeah, you
and
might
a
take
fucking
5
raccoon
years.
ate it.
Yeah, a raccoon
Yep.
went up the tree, grabbed it, and looked at him and ate it in front of him.
Yeah, I remember you guys talking about that. You might want to just protect the tree if you can in different ways, different methods.
I
And
got my gun back. I'm
Yeah.
gonna protect it.
No, you know what? Cole doesn't like
Oh
plants.
God.
I used to have
You are correct. I
Like-
like fruit.
10,000 aloe vera plants. Okay, because I got this little aloe vera plant from an auction one year, and I mean it was like an inch tall, and then I kept growing it and separating it, and I had like 10,000 aloe vera plants. They were fucking everywhere.
Now the corpses
And I
are
kept
everywhere.
giving them to like other people, and I'd like give them to my mom because I could not. I had like so many pots of aloe vera plants that like the entire fucking house was completely covered in them.
Now they're all littered.
Yeah, now I know what
Oh,
happened
that's-
to him, though.
That's familiar. I
They're
had
still in the
aloe
same spots, but they're dead. They're
given
all
to me
dead.
by my son when I think he was 6.
Yeah,
And I had it for. I had that. I had the mother plant and all the babies. I even gave them. I gave so many aloe vera
Right.
plants.
right. That's what I'm
away.
saying. I gave like
Oh,
200
yeah.
of them to people and was
Oh.
like, "Take it, aloe."
Yeah, I mean, you just
It
once
was like, "You came to my house, have an aloe."
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And so I had that. I had the mother plant for over 20 years, and then I had to let it. I had to let it go. I actually cried when I had to let that one go. But anyway, yeah.
Do you know what that
Um,
just proves to me, Nikki?
What?
Your son loves you.
Oh
He gave
yeah.
that to you. Our
Yeah.
kids, they hate their mother, obviously, because they've been feeding the fuckers dishwater.
Yeah, they gave it soap water. Okay, so Cole, I got rid of like all of them except for 3 that lived at the back of the sink, like in the little bay window that we have, and they started watering it with soap water.
Fine. Lemonade.
God,
I'll water it
no.
with lemonade.
So it just died, and I'm like, great, now I have no aloe. I had 10,000 aloe, and now I have no aloe.
Okay, you can use a little soap water, but not all the time.
No, it's like
this is
every
a cup a
time.
day.
Every time. And they just drowned in my aloe in soap water.
it
No,
needed to be well fed, okay?
No, not
Yeah.
aloe. You need to dry the soil out and let the soil dry out a little bit at a time.
It's
Nah.
almost
It
like a
cannot
cactus,
stay
bro.
wet.
If there isn't
It
1
is-
inch
it is
of
a
water in the
cactus.
pot,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not full.
Yeah. And this is why my gardening fails. Well, it didn't that one year that I actually tried and like gardened.
Yeah.
But like I'm lazy and I have to work a lot and I'm like I don't have time to garden. I just don't.
Ooh, I didn't check.
Get your hands in
I should check on my
periodically.
potatoes.
Yeah.
I have potatoes.
Yeah, he planted.
I planted potatoes.
John's a jerk. He
Eh.
went all around my mom's house and just planted a bunch of potatoes.
Oh, that I did.
Oh, don't fucking even. What'd you do to her house, Kayla?
yeah.
Okay, this is actually pretty hilarious. So,
So
my
is
mom,
the potatoes.
my mom put in a brand new garden all the way around her house, like an edging garden. Okay.
Yeah.
And planted a bunch of hostas and stuff like that in it, right? So I went out and I planted a giant pumpkin seed right next to one of the hostas. And all of a sudden, she's
I
like,
can see what's coming.
I don't understand where this plant came from, but it's huge and blah blah. And look, I think it has buds on it, right? So I was like, I don't know, Mom, but it's kind of pretty. And she's like, well, it seems to be growing well, so I'm just gonna let it grow. Right? There were so many
The
pumpkins.
best part about this is the way June originally found the plant was she started weeding around the house, and her and the boys were weeding all the way around the house, and they pulled one small maple tree,
Oh God.
and there was a bag attached to the roots. So they kept pulling. It's a bag of from France with 2 bagels left in it.
Shit.
And
Yeah, we have no
Jude
idea
is
where the
freaking
hell
out.
these bagels
I
came
do.
from.
I do. I guarantee a rat dragged that underground at one of our parties. And then a maple leaf, or like a maple plant, just happened to grow with it.
Yeah, but it had a bagel on the end of the maple leaf. Maple.
Cinnamon raisin. So,
Hey, if we just let it grow, we would have had a bagel tree. Just think about that. Who doesn't want a bagel tree?
and on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we do have to let you go. It is 12 a.m. Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Happy Thursday!
Ah.
So, Nikki on our regular chat provided a great topic for next week. We are going to be talking MK Ultra and mind control in every form almost, but we'll be concentrating on MK Ultra for a little while. But
It's a big topic, guys.
yeah, it is, because like the idea of mind control is amazing. Think of all the shit we could get our teenagers to actually do.
Oh no! Oh my god!
It's only for a few years, Nikki. It's fine.
No, it's not. Oh.
I'm pretty sure that's probably not the greatest.
I think it's a great idea. This is why I should run the world.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We will see you next Wednesday with MK Ultra and Mind Control. Here
Who's
on
MK Ultra?
Huh?
Is this a special guest?
Oh my.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Nikki, do you think we can get one of them?
I'm not gonna. I
We're not
have a
gonna
lot
go
I
there.
could
We're
say
not
on
gonna
this.
go
I'm
there.
not gonna go there.
We'll go there next week.
We will see you next week, Wednesday, 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, here on the S-4 Paranormal Bunker. Say goodnight, everybody.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
Hi.
Good night, fellow humans.
Data transfer complete. System malfunction. Please evacuate immediately. Program terminated.
Son of a biscuit eater.